Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective, and I wanted to take a minute to give you folks an update on how things are going here. I know that a lot of you are on this quest with us, and I appreciate that. I thank everybody that's giving us the prayers and just sending us the good energy and the positive notes, because every bit of that helps. Cancer is a scary thing, not just for the person experiencing it, but also for the person that is going through it with them, be it a family member, a spouse, child. It's hard on everybody. But anyway, so we've gone through last week. Everything started moving pretty rapidly because the concern has been there that her deterioration has moved rapidly. So all of a sudden, finally got some afterburner kicked in, and things are moving forward. But we went last week to see a lung specialist, and he disclosed to us that she had. I say we because it's both of us. We're one person as far as I'm concerned. She is part of me. But that there is stage 4 lung cancer, and that it was mostly in the trachea, but squeezing over into the left lung. Well, we had the PET scan on the 9th of the month, and there was evidence that it was putting pressure on the airway to the left lung, and that it was about half blocked. So she was only moving a little bit of air in that one lung. But we got scheduled for a biopsy, and that was done on the 28th. And while the doctor was in there to do the biopsy, he noticed that the airway was completely blocked. So the left lung was not functioning anymore. It was full of air, but it wasn't expanding and contracting like it's supposed to. So he, instead of just doing the biopsy, ended up doing surgery while he was in there, and he cut everything away from the airway and opened that left lung back up. But anyway, so now we did a follow-up. After that, we got basically an emergency visit with an oncologist because of the rapid growth of this thing. In 19 days or something like that, it went from halfway blocking her airway to completely blocking her airway. So that's pretty fast growth. So we got an emergency appointment with the oncologist, the cancer doctor, and this next week we are absolutely slammed. They're going to be doing radiation. I know we were pretty adamant about chemotherapy, not participating in that, but the doctor explained a lot of stuff to us, and he also told us that the actual diagnosis is non-small cell carcinoma. There are two types of carcinoma. There's a small cell, and then there's non-small cell. She has the non-small cell, which that one it expands rapidly where it lives, but it doesn't tend to grab other parts of the body and take off running. Small cell carcinoma does. So since this is isolated, consolidated, and really in a small spot, she's got a couple of lymph nodes in her chest that are glowing a little bit, so that means they've got some cancer cells in them. But in general, it's in one spot. So he figures that a broad spectrum chemo, low dose, to the point where he said that she might feel a little queasy the day of the procedure, but she would quickly recover. And it's only going to be 1 day a week that she'll have that done. And then she's going to have pinpointed radiation on the area where the tumor is. So it's going to be a combination of the two, and we're also going to be keeping on the holistic end of things. We'll keep doing what we're doing. So it's a 3-point approach, but I wanted to get to this part because I find this I would never call it unbelievable, but I find it astonishing. I've told you guys that prayer works, that, there's no doubt. Some people would call it prayer, some people call it meditation, some people call it whatever they want to call it, but it is the consolidation of energy, the projection of that energy upon another person. And prayer is basically what that is. Well, on the 28th, we had a diagnosis of stage 4 lung cancer. On the 30th, I guess that was yesterday, no, the day before yesterday, the oncologist downgraded that to stage 3. So there hasn't been any medicine yet. There hasn't been anything other than she's been put on oxygen, and we've been praying and asking our friends around the world to pray, and that's all that's been done. And she went from the mass that was rated at stage 4 to a mass that is now rated at stage 3. So there's already reduction in the size of this thing with no intervention. So you can say or think whatever you want to think, but that leaves one single solitary answer: prayer. That's it. So when I say pray for us, pray for her, I mean it, because I know it works. It proves itself too many times. Going back to the Native Americans, they used to chant over somebody when they were in bad shape. They would all sit around them, they'd hit their drums, and they would chant. And they would use rhythm and consolidate their energy and do everything they could to make that person feel better. And it worked. So it absolutely works. But anyway, today, after the one thing we notice is that after being out, running around, having to do what we have to do for appointments and things like that, Lisa gets absolutely exhausted. Yesterday, as soon as we got home from a day out, I mean, her only energy that she's forced to expel right now is getting in and out of her truck. I put her in a wheelchair and I wheel her around because I don't want her exerting any energy that would cause her to have breathing difficulties. So even with no significant energy use, she got home from the appointment yesterday and pretty much almost slept through the night, on and off being awake. But now today, the same thing. She's pretty much been sleeping most of the day. So a little bit of energy and she's pretty much wiped out. But we start the process this coming week, and the doctor wants to move very quickly on it to stop the growth so that she doesn't have her airway closed again. That's going to happen very rapidly. We've got some classes we got to go to this week, and the interesting thing here is when we went to the oncologist, they have because of the stupid COVID thing, they had their very strict rules of no visitors and that kind of thing. So when we got in there and they said I had to go wait outside, I don't think so. So this old gray-haired screwball right here pitched a bitch on like 9 octaves. Not happening. They were getting pretty pissed at me, and they were thinking about calling the cops. But I told them, I said, my wife's going through this, I'm going through this. I said I will not allow her to get potentially devastating information delivered to her without me being there. And, after a little bit of back and forth, they finally got the manager and they let me through. It'll continue this way because everywhere we've got to go, they've got these policies that you can't go in with them. I would love to see them stop me. That's all I gotta say. But it ain't happening. Not with the love of my life. They are not gonna pull me away from her and make her go through this crap by herself. Just no, ain't happening. So anyway, the last thing I want to talk about is the when we were going from the day of the biopsy. The doctor addressed me afterwards and was very concerned, relatively uh, gloomy, and not very optimistic. He he was really concerned. So he told me what he needed to tell me, but then he took off. But then when we went to see this oncologist, the first thing, like I said, they downgraded it to stage 3. From stage 4, it's been downgraded to stage 3. And he gave us a real estimate of 50-50. And reason being is because it's cancer. Nobody ever knows for sure. But he is optimistic. He knows that it's aggressive, but he's prepared to be aggressive with it. So he gave us 50-50, and that means it's going to be very dependent on you folks that are giving the prayers. And for the ones who sent her letters and cards, that's awesome. You guys are just beautiful people. I appreciate every single one of you, and I love you guys. If she wants to write back and give you a little thank you note, but just bear with us a little bit because it's hard for her to stay awake. It's hard to focus. Her oxygen level struggles right now to get above 75, which is very low. It's going to get better this next week, but she'll drop you guys a little thank you note, and as soon as she's up to it. I guess I already said the last thing, but I wanted to mention that when her lung was closed off for however many days, and I'm figuring probably close to a week, just based on how she was acting, the risk was there of lung infection because of the lung not expanding, contracting, basically just sitting in there with stale air. So she's on an antibiotic and a clinical steroid to get ahead of an infection. They haven't checked her for an infection, but just because of the risk, they went ahead and put her on it. So anyway, so things are moving. You guys got to bear with me. I'm going to let you guys go through this with us. As I get information, you'll get information. Maybe it'll help others in the future that are going to end up going through the same thing. Obviously, personal medical information will not be divulged, but general medical information. But as far as diagnosis and stuff like that, there's no need to be secretive about that, because that's part of the process of getting through it, so everybody knows what's going on. But anyway, that being said, I'm going to keep you guys in the loop. And if you want to participate in this journey with us, hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends about me. We're going to get back on the politics and the other stuff later. But right now, the focus needs to change. But hit the like button, and I guess that's really it. So make sure you guys stay in the fight.